all of the other attachments, right? It's not just, okay, let me just change camera over to this other system. It's a pretty big commitment financially and otherwise to do that.
Well, it's like I just bought an Olympus for Micro Four Thirds because they do live compositing for light painting and things like that. It's a pretty cool system. And it's tiny. I mean, it's a tiny little camera, but I only need the camera and one lens because we're doing it for the light painting with the drones and other stuff. And but yeah, it's like a paperclip compared to all my Nikon stuff. It doesn't weigh anything.
But it always has been about the lenses, though, right? I mean, even if you're running two cameras, I mean, eventually you're going to replace all your DSLR lenses with whomever's mirrorless lenses. But until you do that one at a time, it's just terrible. And say all my lighting gear.
I'm going to go back to my Honeywell Spotmatic 1000 shooting film.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'll get started in a second. You know, Darren, I was going to ask, do you want to mention anything about workshops you have coming up this year, or?
I can. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to give you the opportunity if you want to. Whenever I was going to say, I was going to kind of start kicking the meeting off here. I mean, we're right at the 7 o'clock hour, but I thought maybe if you wanted to mention. I saw something out there that you had some workshops that are starting to get announced. So.
Okay. Yeah, so we have, we're going to do 3 workshops this year that are planned right now. 2 in Moab and 1 in Yellowstone. The one in Yellowstone sold out literally in a day, and it has a waiting list because we have some people from Europe that are potentially coming, but if something can't happen and they can't get over here because of the pandemic or COVID or whatever, so that's why we have a waiting list. And it's probably got, I'd say 8 to 12 people on it right now. I haven't been writing down all the names, Mike has, but if anybody wants to sign up for that waiting list, because you never know what's going to happen, go ahead and shoot me an email or go to our website, nightphotographyworkshop.com, and you can do it there. We do have spots available in the Moab workshops, both in May and in September. So I think they're about half filled right now.
Great. And let's see here. I was going to say, I don't know if anybody else, Corey Baumgart, do you have any workshops that you want to mention or anything coming up? Or
I have the Montana one coming up in February. I don't have the dates in front of me. Only 2 spots left on that. That's wildlife photos. And then I have one in Minnesota, but I'll mention it when it's closer because I think that's July.
Okay.
Hey,
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was trying to give those who have workshops, and if anybody else out there has those, raise your hand and I'll let you, we'll let you go ahead and explain those too in that. But I want to give you the opportunity to bring that up to the club. So thank you. So with that, I'll go ahead and start the meeting really quickly. First, I want to thank everybody for joining, especially it looks like I see a few names out there that are new. So thank you for joining us this year. Hopefully you get a good experience from the club. I know over the last 4 or 5 years, I've learned quite a bit from the club. In fact, I was going to bring up my very first meeting. I guess it was like a little less than 5 years ago. Eli Vega was the presenter on that. So this kind of brings me back to my very first meeting. So again, thank you everybody for joining. Thanks also for all of the contributions during last year, 2020. Bit of a challenge again with COVID and so forth, but here we are, 2021, doing the same thing. And you know, we've really actually had pretty good success with the various meetings, presentations, competitions, and so forth. So looking forward to 2021, and it sounds like there's some encouraging developments that hopefully as we get further into the year, we'll actually be able to meet in person and do in-person, you know, meetings, workshops, and so forth and that. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see if we can get there. Again, thank you, Eli, for joining us for tonight's open competition. Thank you for coming in as a judge. As I recall, you were going to do this last year, and then there were a couple times where you had was it cataract surgeries? I think they were like back to back on our meeting nights and that. So hopefully it sounds like everything went well with that. So we're fortunate. We're fortunate again to have you here tonight. So thanks again. Just a couple upcoming events and that I just want to mention. We've got, let's see, January 20th. I guess that's Inauguration Day, so it should be a pretty quiet day, right? Kevin Holliday is going to present Vision, a World Created, Not Captured. Kevin is a award-winning photographer located in Charleston, South Carolina, specializes in creative fine art photography, including architecture, landscape, long exposure, minimalism. The long exposure is his real specialty. So this one should be a pretty big event, so be sure and sign up. There's information on the email that went out last week, and also sign-up information out on the website, the club's website. January 30th, we have a virtual advanced light painting techniques with Russell Klemus. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's instruction on how to, unique designs and that he does with his drone. With, I guess it's Alichi drone software. That's the name of the software that he uses. And then LumaCube lights that go on the drones, and you create interesting designs and that with that. There's a registration that was, again, provided in last week's email. And then there's also a link out on our website for those who are interested in that. It's limited to 10 people, and there is a registration fee for that one of $99. But evidently, it's a pretty comprehensive class on kind of some specific interesting drone design software that he uses. February 3rd, we have an exhibition night. For those who are new to the club, I know this is something that I've benefited from quite a bit. With the exhibition nights, it's a good opportunity to submit some images that you want to have critiqued just by not a judge, but by just the group. You have it give you the opportunity to kind of tell your story a little bit about how you got the shot, and then you get some constructive feedback from other members in the club. So again, it's been a good learning opportunity when I've attended these things in the past. So that one will be February 3rd. February 17th, we have a presentation, Joe Klosek, on color management. March 3rd is the next competition night. We're working on the theme. I apologize for not having those out yet. The thought is that one of the themes for that one will be motion. We may add one more element to it. So kind of get to start thinking maybe of images that you might have or may want to create that have to do with motion. And again, we'll get more specifics on that as well as some of the other themes through the rest of the year out to everybody shortly. March 17th, we have a presentation. Dale Ralph will be presenting on compositing. April 7th is another one of the exhibition nights, similar to what I just mentioned here a few minutes ago. And then on April 21st, there's a presentation by Alice Bender, and that is on Impressionist photography, something that Eli here specializes in quite a bit also. So another thing I wanted to do real quick is I wanted to congratulate the award winners from 2020. I know I mentioned it, I guess, in our last meeting, but I wanted to mention it again. We really had some really good competitions last year, some really good images in that, and a few people really stood out with on the awards and that. I apologize for the fact that we don't have the physical awards yet. It's some of those awards companies, it's been a struggle. 2020 was a rough year for them, but we do have some that are ordered, so we'll be getting those to you shortly. And when they come in, we'll be sure and get some photos and out to the club so you get the proper recognition as is well deserved. Just going through a couple of those real quickly here and that, we had, starting with the intermediate category, color, Karina Zaragoza, 3rd place, Bruce Ryman was 2nd, and Candy Herman was 1st. On the intermediate monochrome, Phil Rubino came in 3rd, Ray Callow 2nd, and Karina Zaragoza 1st. And then over on the advanced category, color, Rand Smith was 3rd, Ashley Surdich 2nd, Chuck Rasco was 1st. And on monochrome, Corey Baumgartner 3rd, Dave Purcell 2nd, and Ashley Surdich 1st. So the finals, the intermediate photographer of the year, Karina Zaragoza, and the advanced photographer of the year was Ashley Surdich. As I mentioned before, one of the things I really want to point out, so one, congratulations to the two of you and everybody else on that list. But Ashley and Carino, I think each of them have been photographing for 2 years, roughly, something like that. And for them to stand out on the top is quite an accomplishment. So again, congratulations. And congratulations to those that were on the list and for everybody else who participated last year and hopefully saw a lot of improvement in your photography through the year, through the events that we had. Let's see, going on to, now I'm going on to tonight's event. Tonight's judge is Eli Vega. He's the author of the book, Right Brain Photography. Subtitle of that is Be an Artist First. He has I put a link out there on the chat to at least the Amazon site to purchase the book. I've read it and it's really helped me, myself not being necessarily a right brain type person, not that creative style, and it's really kind of helped me learn a few things and kind of get away from the day-to-day kind of photography that I would otherwise be doing. A lot of the things that are covered in there are some special, very creative techniques, including multiple exposure, long exposure, intentional motion blur, creative use of composition and light. And one of the tags I saw in there was see with your imagination, not your eyes, I think was one of his phrases that I thought was real clever. Just kind of reading through it about the author leads into how his early experiences influenced his creativity that would later become a really big part of his life. After developing strong skills in various forms of art, he attended South Plains College and Texas Tech University to study art, and it was intrigued specifically by the Impressionism and Surrealism forms of art. Later, a few friends introduced him to photography. He joined a local camera club, probably not too much unlike the one that we've got here, and became immediately successful in their competitions, and photography became obviously a very big part of his life from that point forward. He currently offers photography classes and workshops in Arkansas, Colorado, and some other locations. I've been fortunate to attend a couple of his local events and have learned quite a bit at those. And he also has a monthly newsletter that provides good information on photography and also covers other topics that are of interest. So with that, I'll go ahead and let's see, we'll have, if Paul wants to go ahead and start, or actually, first of all, we'll go ahead and, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Eli. Is there anything? I'm sure there's quite a bit that I missed, but if there's anything else you'd like to mention about yourself.
Just to piggyback on what you said about right brain photography, you might have the first edition, I'm not sure, Michael, but it's in its 4th edition now, Right Brain Photography. And you mentioned the newsletter already. You know, I also do Zoom classes, one-on-one Zoom classes. It's a combination of, for example, if you want to work on a specific area, we could just cover that for an hour or two. But one that I really encourage is I have my composition Zoom lessons that I offer. And you alluded to that earlier when you were talking about right brain photography. But I have been a photography judge for years now. And even to this date, I see one of the weaknesses I see among photographers is composition. I think a lot of photographers seem to think that just by adding a tree on the left and another tree on the right is composition. Others think that just by cropping the image after the fact is composition, but it's much, much more than that. So yeah, I do offer Zoom classes. Let's see, yeah, you mentioned my newsletter. So if you're interested in starting to receiving my newsletter, please let me know, just email me and I'll put you on the list. And yeah, for now, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Let's see, with that, I'll turn it over to Paul, who will go over the rules of our competition night. And especially since we've got some new members in that, again, appreciate that. We'll go through there and I'll turn it over to Paul here.
Thanks, Michael. But first I'm taking out the images I submitted that have trees in them. So I'm going to substitute. Okay, so yeah, I see a bunch of new names this time, which is great. Welcome. So what I'll do is, and I know I'm going to bore the folks that have done this before, but that's okay. I'll give you the overall process of how the rest of the evening goes. And don't worry, I'll get very detailed about the voting because I know, you know, the first time I voted too, I was totally lost. So we'll help you on that. So this next, probably about a half an hour, is the audience participation voting. So I'll be showing the images on the screen. You'll be able to see them and you'll be voting. And again, I'll come back to that so I can explain that in more detail. I try and time that. I see it's like 7:15. I try and time that to last about a half an hour. So hopefully that part's done about 7:45. At that point, we go through all the images again. And I might add, we got 62 entries this month, which is very good. Great participation, but it's also not in the 90s like we had one time where we went to 3 in the morning. No, it felt like it was 3 in the morning, but it wasn't. So anyways, at about 7:45 or whenever we finish the audience voting, we go to the judges portion. So all those images, we'll go through them again, but this time it's Eli's turn and he will do a critique. He'll assign, he'll also vote. And generally that should, with 60 images, and we say about a minute each image maximum, you know, that could go to about 8:45. At that point though, the last two parts are very quick. We go to Chuck Rasco, who is sitting in his basement with an abacus and he's tallying all these votes up. And he will come on and he will announce who the first, second, third, and honorable mention is in each category. And we have the 4 categories. And then if we have time, and hopefully we try and end by about 9 o'clock, but we go through the images one last time and, you know, a second on each one at the most. And I give the name of who did that so that you'll know if for any reason there's one image that really piques your interest, you'll know who did that. You could contact them, and then we keep the mics open for a little while so anybody that wants to can hang around. It's sort of the end social hour. And if we go a little over 9, just remember in the old days when we actually met in person, you still had to drive home. So, you know, for some of you that live way up north, you're, you know, what's a half an hour sitting doing this and, you know, having a little glass of wine, which you can't do before you drive. So anyways, okay, that's probably enough. So this first section of voting. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take the screen here and I'm going to put back up this. So this is how you vote. You can either type in, and you can do this on your phone, a smartphone, or, you know, another tab on your computer, and go to Lone Tree. photoclub.com, and you could go straight there. Oh, great. It says my internet connection is unstable. And by the way, also, just so everybody knows, we do a backup plan so that if for some reason, normally I have very good internet connection, but if something goes wrong, Bruce Ryman, who shows his Lone Tree Photo Club on the Zoom call, has the exact same images. He has the list. And if I have to give this up, then he'll take over. So don't get off. We have a backup plan. Always be prepared, right? We're all Boy Scouts. So hopefully you all have this up, the voting. I would suggest if you do it on your smartphone, that you do the landscape orientation, because that allows you to not only see the title, but we vote 5 through 10. There's no 1 through 4. So typically you should be able to see everything. And again, we do 4 categories. Also, for those of you that are new, you do have to vote on every single one. And if you don't, you won't be able to submit at the end. You're not actually submitting until the very last image. I'll tell you, you'll see the button below the last line here on the voting form, and it'll say submit. And so once you've done everyone, then you hit submit, and that's what goes into Chuck's laptop for calculations, and it takes him a little while to do that. So any questions so far? Because otherwise I am going to go to the images, and I'll go full screen here in a minute. I'm going to minimize myself. So, okay. So the very first, and what I'll do here, again, knowing we've got some new folks, these first few images I'll leave up a little longer. And so you have time to make sure you feel like you're doing this right and you're comfortable. And if you have any questions, please shoot something into the chat. If I don't see it, Bruce will see it. He helps to monitor, and he can let me know that you know, something's wrong or I need to re-explain or whatever. So I want you all to have, this is really a fun part. I really enjoy this. So the very first image is called Death Valley's Grand Exit. So again, 10 being the highest score you could give. So they're not relative to each other. In the old days, that was more how we used to do it. But this is just on its merits, any score from a 5 to a 10. So, you know, again, if you just touch which one, and I'll move on to the next one. And again, unless I get any kind of a chat announcement, and I'll be able to do this quicker here. Okay, and now this one is called Ghosts of the Past. Ghosts of the Past.
Are you guys seeing pictures?
No, I'm not seeing anything.
Nothing.
What's up right now is the QR link is what I see, Paul.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to stop share so I can retry. I'll go back to the first one here.
There we go.
Okay. Does that, everybody see that one?
What's
Yep.
this?
Yep.
Death
Okay.
Valley?
Good. Okay, so this is that first one, not the second one. This is the first one called Death Valley's Grand Exit. So again, we'd normally leave this up for about 10 seconds or so, and it's not a lot of time to analyze, but hopefully you can determine a score on that. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one here. This one is called Ghosts of the Past. Ghosts of the Past. And again, at the beginning here, I'll go a little slower. Okay, now I'm on the third one here. And by the way, this is the beginner intermediate category for the digital color. So this one is called the Gore Range Cabin. Gore Range Cabin. I was in an all-day Zoom training for continuing ed for my license that I have. And the trick I learned today from the guy who did it is when his screen kept freezing, he would just get out of screen share, unmute, and then mute and go back, and it worked great. So you may hear me and see me do that. Okay, this image is the next one. It's called Hiding in Horsetails. Hiding in horsetails. Okay, I'm gonna start going a little faster. I'm assuming if anybody's stuck, just give a yell. This one's called I Think It's Broken. Next image is called O Tannenbaum. And again, especially for the new folks, you use criteria that you feel is important, whether it's composition, light, artistic value, uniqueness, etc. That's, you know, each of our own calls. The next image, oops, sorry, is called Rain Almost. Rain Almost. This image is called Rippled Reflections of Heaven. This is Smoldering Wildfire Granby. And the final image in this category is Sunset in the Park. And what you may have noticed before you voted on that one, there probably was a red warning right beneath it that said required one response. And when you vote in the last one, that should go away because again, you have to vote for each item. So if that didn't go away, it means you probably skipped one up there and you need to go back and take a look. But I'm assuming we all did that okay. And so because of that, I can go to the next category. And the next category is also color. And these are from advanced. I'm sorry, I need to, there we go. Whoops. Okay. So the first, is there a problem? No? Okay. So the first item is, or the first entry is 50 Shades of Turkey. Next one in this category is As One Light Fades, Others Shine. Next one is called Changing. Next image is called Coming or Going. Coming or Going. This one is Cuban Sunrise. Next one is Dreams in Ice. This is Early Morning on Broadway. Next is Empire State. This one is Excited. This is Family Reunion. This is Fire Within. This is Garden with Snow.
Are we seeing the whole image here, or are all these cropped the same way? I'm just curious.
There's the entire image. Let me go to full screen. Yeah, it's not cropped.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to
Sure.
check.
Yeah, yeah, we did have, and sometimes if someone doesn't size it to the specifics of 2000 on the long end, yeah, that was more of an issue, but now we've done the uniform sizing, they should be all okay. But if somebody knows of, you know, an image, meaning it's theirs, and I need to re-show it, let me know, because you know, it's only fair.
Or if somebody has something that comes up that doesn't look like, if it's yours and it doesn't look like what you think it should look like, send me a message on the chat. That way we can keep it anonymous and then I can bring it up.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. This is Gemini Dreams. Gemini Dreams. Next is Grizzly on the Shore. I hope they used a nice long lens. Next one is Hey There. This is Just Beyond the Cornfields. Next one is just hanging around. This one is king penguins in Elsel, South Georgia Island. I probably said Elsel wrong, but you get the picture. This is nesting gentoo penguin. Next is rumble in the jungle. And the next image is rustic moon. This one is seeking sunrise. This is snow walk. This is spring grove. This is starry, starry night. Next we have storm pass. This one is take time to smell the flowers. Second to last in this category is tip of the morning. And the final one in this category is Tower of Doom. And again, since that was the last one in the category, you should not have the red warning at the bottom of the category. So if you do, go back and check. There's something that you didn't get to do. So we only have 2 more categories. Both are much fewer entries because they're both monochrome, which we typically get fewer entries. And this is the beginner intermediate digital monochrome, and the first entry is called Barely There. Get it?
Hey, Paul, this one is not on the, It's not the first item on your, the one first item on here is above the Giants on the vote list.
It's the first one on mine.
I have barely there.
Yeah, Barry,
All right,
Yeah, me
I
too.
must have an old form. I'll refresh, I guess. My
if
fault.
you refresh, do you lose all of your other entries that you've already?
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to do something different.
Bruce,
Sorry. It's
above the Giants is the one in digital advanced or monochrome advanced. So you may
Yeah,
have,
you went one
Okay,
category
That's
too
what it
far,
was.
Bruce.
Yeah, hopefully you didn't hit refresh yet.
Okay, that was barely there. This one, by the way, I run through these, I triple check them, so hopefully we never have them out of order, but human nature. Elk at Rocky, Elk at Rocky. This is Father's Stare. Sorry here. Just had a little glitch on my end here. This is Knobs. Knobs. And second to last one here is called Nighttime Union. Nighttime Union. Last category, or last one in this category, One Bad Hombre. Okay, again, make sure the red went away. Means you voted for each one. And now we're into the last category. This is the monochrome for advanced. This one is Above the Giants. This one is Camouflage. This is Clouds Over the Mountains. Next is Come On Guys, Make Some Room. This is I See You. This is Facade. Next one is Forgotten Wheels. This is In a Different Light. Next is My Secret Place. This one is My Wish. Next is On High Alert. This is Power of Flight. Next is Rocky Mountain Peaks. This is The Mall at Christmas. This is The Sentinel. Next is They Call Me Mr. Blue. Next is Through the Mist of Time. Next is Travel by, well, hold on. Travel by Train. This is Trees and Clouds. This one is Urban Perspective. Next is Whitewash. And the last one is Zodiac Trip in South Georgia Island. Now, again, hopefully that took off the red warning. Ignore the categories below it. Those are all prints. Obviously, we don't do prints. Those were when we met in person. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the submit button. I think it's in the lower left corner. So if you've got everything, hit the submit button. And that means you've submitted your entry. Okay, so with that, Eli, what I'll do here is I'm going to do sort of the same thing. After I flash the image and you do your critique, as soon as I hear you give a number, I will go to the next image. And you know, if you need me at any point, Eli, to try and do a little zoom, I can do that, or you know, go back to an image, whatever. But so let's give it a shot if you're ready, Eli.
Okay, can I say just a few words before I get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
So I remember when I was a member. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I remember when I was a member of the camera club years ago, and I would enter a slide. I was into slides back then. And I would get ridiculed by the judge, or just like really bad stuff. I go, oh, I hurt. But then a month or two later, I'd enter the same image, judged by another person, and he or she would give me 8 or 9 points. I go, wow. So I say that because, and I think you know this, art is subjective, and photography is art. So I say this because don't get your feelings hurt if you don't get that many points tonight. It's just the way I see photography, the way I see art. And yes, I do call myself a photo artist because I like to see photography done with an artistic flair. So given that, let's go ahead and give you some points, but just keep that in mind that enter that again, and who knows, you might get 2 or 3 more points next time. Okay, on this one, the scale is 5 to 10. I'm gonna go with 6. I don't think I'm gonna give any 5s today, just a 6. And to me, this is a snapshot, just a snapshot of a mountain range. So I'm gonna do 2 things. One is give you a score, and then tell you what I think I would have done if I had been there with you at that time. So if I had been with you at that time, I see 2, 3 peaks over to the right that I think are the most dramatic. The one in the near middle and the ones to the right of it. And I'm thinking if I had zoomed in a little tighter to that area, it might have been a little more dramatic. 6.
This is Ghosts of the Past.
Very creative. I like when people just go out there, think outside the box. This goes beyond photography, of course. A lot of Photoshop or Lightroom, whatever you use, but very creatively done. The fact that this machine is just standing there, and then out of nowhere, there's this stuff happening in the background that, what is this? 9.
Okay. This is Gore Range Cabin.
To me, this is a snapshot of, oh, a cute cabin. That's interesting. And the mountains in the background. I see 2 things happening here. Not having been there, I'm thinking that if I had zoomed into those mountains back there, the Gore Range, I might have found another independent shot way out there where the mountains are. As far as the cabin goes, I think I would have looked inside for something a little more interesting and eye-catching. I'm sure there was something there that's very interesting. For example, that door right in the middle, I think with a vertical shot looking into that might have been more interesting and more powerful than this shot. Also to the left, that big window, if I had looked in there, there might have been something in there. So I'm gonna go with 6.
Okay, this is Hiding in Horsetails.
I'm gonna go with a 9 on this one. What I like about it is it's very abstract. Lots of green and the horsetails take up most of the room, and the title fits the image. I like that. So if you're gonna give it a title, give it a title that fits the image, and this one does. And it makes you look for the hidden images. So yeah, I like this one a lot. I like the color. I like the composition of it, and just toying with the idea of little fluttering of the creatures in there hiding. What did I say, 9? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is I Think It's Broken.
I'm gonna go with 6 right off the bat. Very technically, it's perfect. You know, sharp, lots of detail. The color's nice. Nothing is blown out. Nothing is too dark. So as far as the technical part of this image, yeah, it's very well done. But to me, it's just a picture of this thing. What might have made it more interesting for me with a different title is to go in deep in there and see what other compositions are in there inside of that. And that might have made me go, ooh, what am I looking at? 6.
Okay. This is O Tannenbaum.
Oh, creative, very creative use of that. I like that. The tree, and you know that the tree is the same tree as is behind it. So good thinking on this one, good creative. 8.
Next is Rain Almost.
I'm going to give this a 7. I think what it might have made it an 8 or 9 even is if the Vega had been a near silhouette like the trees. And I think that would have made it a lot more dynamic. 7.
This is Rippled Reflections of Heaven.
A strong 9, very well done. I like the colors, I like the composition, I like the subject matter. The ripples are there, as the title implies. And it makes you want to look throughout the images at all these stars and shapes and forms. Very well done. 9.
Okay. Next is Smoldering Wildfire Granby.
I'm going to go with a 6. To me, this is, it's a picture, it's a snapshot. I do want to make a comment about photography. There are 2 things that go into photography. One of them is sight. The other one is emotion. And I think we forget that there are 2 factors in play. And it's the emotion that gets us every time. We go, oh my God, look at that. And we go click. But once we see it on the screen, that picture no longer has that emotion that we had when we went click. So what I do is when I say, wow, look at that, I stay with that and ask myself, what made me stop? What made me say, wow? What is it about this that made me say, wow? And try to translate that into a photograph. That, again, that emotion will get you every time. I'm sure that the feeling you had was much stronger than I have at looking at it. What would help? What would have helped? I'm guessing right now, not having been there, that it has to do with the smoke and the mountains, not this little village that's down here. That's not part of what made me stop. So if you crop it from the bottom, like 1/3 from the bottom, and increase the contrast, now we're looking at a different image. Did I give you a score on this?
Yeah, 6. Okay. Next image is Sunset in the Park.
Nice color, nice subject. I'm gonna go with a 7. If you crop it from the bottom, almost halfway, it becomes much more dramatic. So either A, move to where you can see more of the mountain range in the background and less of the foreground, because we have so much in the foreground that it forces the eye to go downward toward the bottom of the image. When I was an art major, my professors would say, it's bottom heavy, meaning your eye tends to get drawn down to the bottom of this. This space in the lower half doesn't contribute much or anything to the image. So go home and crop this and see what that looks like.
Okay. And this is Woodlands.
6. I see just a picture of trees and grasses. What could have improved it? I think the tree on the left and the tree on the right can go. And I see a lot of very interesting stuff happening way back there. I think that's where the picture is. I would walk back in there, forget about these two trees, walk in there and get that shot and then increase the vibrance and contrast, and you got a photograph.
Okay, so you gave 3 nines, Eli, and what I can do is I can put those 3 up so you can compare them. And we're going to ask you to break a tie, and this way you can see them all. Oops, sorry.
Yes, okay.
There we go.
Those
And
3 are the nines?
Yes, and I'll take the tabs off here. Okay.
So now I need to rescore them differently.
Well, I would, you don't need to worry about anything beyond a first place. So of these 3, which one would you award your judge's award to?
I see. The one on the left.
Okay, so this one here, I think it's Ghosts of the Past.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, and I have to ask Chuck if he needs any tiebreaker on
Nope.
this. Nope.
Nope, I'm
Okay, good. Okay, so we'll go to the second category, which is, this is still color from advanced.
Okay.
And this is 50 Shades of Turkey.
Yeah. Let me give the score first and then explain why. I think the photographer is going to be disappointed. I'm sorry. A 7. Yes, the turkey does stand out. It is very colorful and it's sharp. However, to me, when I look at this, I'm going, it's a picture of a turkey. That's one comment I want to make. I think a more interesting background might have helped. What that would have been, I don't know, maybe just waiting patiently and see where else the turkey goes. And just follow it. Go ahead and get the shot, just in case you don't get anything better. And then, but keep watching it and keep following it and see what it does, see where it goes, and keep on shooting with different backgrounds. For this particular shot, the tree on the left is a bit too blown out. And that's an easy solution in Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever you use. If the tree on the left could have the hues, the vibrance, and the exposure as the tree on the right, I think it would have, the turkey would have been, would stand out a lot better.
Okay. This one is, as one light fades, others shine.
Nice soothing shot. I like the feel of the shot. I like the composition, it's nice. And what needs to be sharp is sharp enough. Give it an 8.
Next image is changing.
6, let me explain why. I like the subject. I photograph leaves like this myself. I have several in my collection. The one thing to watch out for is to ask yourself, how many of these leaves do I want in sharp focus? So we need to make whatever we decide on in terms of which ones are going to be in sharp focus. We need to concentrate on why. Maybe it's the first 5 or 6 in the foreground. Or maybe it's everything except what's way back there. So decide that first and make it look intentional. If there's some softness in the image, make it look intentional and as opposed to an oversight. Like I see some leaves that are soft, a little out of focus. And I'm wondering, should they be a little more in focus? Nice subject, but a little more work on it. 6.
Okay. So is coming or going?
I had notes here earlier. I like the eagle. The eagle is very nicely done. coming in. Looks like it's holding something. So the eagle itself is very nicely done. And I know it was tough to capture this one. I think I would have preferred to have the foreground sharper than what it is. But I'm going to give it an 8 because of the eagle, and not anymore because of the out of focus background.
Okay, this is Cuban sunrise.
An 8. Very well done. I like the silhouette. I like the sunset. I'm wondering if cropping from the left and from the right might have made it, given it a little more impact. Did I give it a score? Yeah. 8.
Yes, 8. Okay. Next
Okay.
one is,
No, can you go back?
I'm sorry. Yeah, sure.
I was going to say what was the title of this one again?
This is Cuban sunrise.
Okay, so it's a sunrise that obviously the photographer is talking about. This interesting sunrise with an interesting foreground silhouette. So that's the subject. However, when I look at it, my eye tends to go to the left and to the right and wonder, what's this over here? What's that over there? So it's drawing attention away. So I call this composition. You have the center of interest, this tree and the sunrise, but there's competition going on. By competition, I mean there's something in the photograph that's competing for my attention.
Okay. This is Dreams in Ice.
I want to give this a 10. Very nicely done. I don't usually give 10s, but this is very well done, very soft. Everything is soft ice. I'm glad that the photographer, unlike the tendency nowadays to make all that ice super, super sharp, that's a tendency today. And I think it's not a habit. It's almost like an addiction with photography to make everything super, super, super sharp. But this photographer didn't do that. It's very soft. It adds mood, and the placement of the woman is part of what I call composition. And I talk about that in my Zoom class in composition, where that woman should be. He or she didn't place the woman in dead center. Very nicely done. I like this one.
Okay. This is Early Morning on Broadway.
A 6. It's just a picture of downtown. I hate to be so blunt, but what I do see, if I had been with you, I would have said, you know what? I see some reflections here on the lower right. Let's play with that, because that looks very interesting. It mimics the buildings on top up there. And I think that would have been a very interesting horizontal. And I've done these kind of shots. So you need to be patient. And by patient, I mean wait till there are no cars. I know that's hard to do, but I've done it. It might take me 30 minutes, but I will do it. I will wait till there are no cars, just a reflection on the lower right, and then coupled with the buildings up there, and that would have been a much stronger image.
Okay. This is Empire State.
7. I like the motion. It's very impressionistic. I like impressionism. I think what would have made me give it more points is if I would have seen more of the skyline in the background, just a hint of it, as opposed to just the center of the building.
Okay. This is called Excited.
Cute picture. A 6. I'm sorry. To me, it's a picture of a dog. And I know if you're a pet owner, you love it. And it becomes a more powerful photograph for you. But when I look at photographs, I'm looking for something a little more interesting than a picture of a dog, even though it has an expression. Yeah. Did I give you a score on this one?
Yeah, 6. Yeah. I want that dog though.
Cute.
Yeah.
Cute dog.
Family reunion.
I'm gonna go with a 7. I like it. I like the image. I looked at that earlier and I thought, I think the most powerful composition for this image is cropped about roughly 1/3 from the right and accentuate those bigger subjects and the moon. And then a little more vibrance, a little more contrast. That would have gotten it to about a 9 or so.
Okay, this is Fire Within.
A little too abstract. I like abstracts. I have my own collection of abstracts, but there's a little too much abstract. Nice color, but too much abstract. 6.
Okay. This is Garden with Snow.
7. Great subject. I photographed this myself many times. I have one behind me here. You can't see it. So yeah, great subject itself. However, guys, if you get a chance to photograph Garden of the Gods, go back over and over and over and over again, because every time it's going to be different lighting. As I recall, late afternoon is the best lighting for this subject. And wait for the clouds to clear. Just be patient. Wait for see if the clouds are going to break and give you that dramatic lighting on these beautiful formations. More contrast, more vibrance is needed, and a different kind of lighting.
This is Gemini Dreams.
10. Very, very well done. Not only is it well executed in terms of the technical aspect, one of my many photography mantras, if you will, is the best photography is found where technical know-how and creative aesthetics meet. Let me repeat that. The best photography is found where technical know-how and creative aesthetics meet. And this image qualifies under that mantra. It is exceptionally well done technically, and it also has very great aesthetic appeal with that tent in the lower right-hand corner and all these shooting stars everywhere. Has a lot of things to look at throughout the image. Your eye is attracted to the tent, but then it also has a lot more to look at. It's not just a picture of the stars and not just a picture of the tent.
Okay. This is Grizzly on the Shore.
6 is just a picture of a bear. And again, I hope I don't hurt your feelings too much. It's just a picture of a bear. I know bears are interesting. However, keep, like the turkey earlier, keep your eye on this bear. What will he or she do later? Keep watching, keep watching. What else is he gonna do? Maybe if you're lucky, he might just stare at you and click, go for it. Go for it. So yeah, for animals, I'm very patient. What else is he gonna do? Get that shot just in case you don't get anything else. But don't go away, don't walk away. Keep looking and hoping that something else happens.
Okay, this is Hey There.
Cute, interesting. I'm gonna go with an 8 on this one. Very cute, very clever, nice composition, nice soft colors, except for the eyes. The eyes really stand out.
This is Just Beyond the Cornfields.
7. Just beyond the cornfields, to me, if I follow the title, just beyond the cornfields is the barn and the hillsides and the trees. And I'm wondering what it would look like if it was cropped from the right. I want to make a comment about photography. I mentioned this in my book, Right Brain Photography, that when it comes to photography, the eyes see too much. When it comes to photography, the eyes see too much. And the tendency by some of us is to photograph everything the eyes see. So I asked myself, ooh, what made me stop? And what made me stop is just this composition of corn, I guess, in the foreground that relates to the barn, that relates to the trees and the hillside back there. So I urged the photographer, go home, crop it from the right. I'm going to say about a third from the right, and see what that looks like.
Okay, this is just hanging around.
I'm going to go with 7. These little suckers are very hard to photograph. I know, I tried.
Yeah.
Very hard to photograph. So I give the photographer credit for, I got a photograph of a hummingbird. That's good.
Mhm.
I think what made it better is, and again, you can't control these. I'm just saying, if there had been something that the hummingbird was hunting or looking for over to the left, it might have made it a little more interesting. And maybe even a little more, less depth of field than that might have made it more interesting.
This is king penguins in El Sul, South Georgia Island.
7, interesting subject. The penguins, I haven't photographed penguins myself, but yeah, they are an interesting subject. I'm wondering what this image would have looked like if the photographer would have focused either on the 3 to the left
Mhm.
or a vertical shot of those 2 next to each other. That might have been a more interesting composition.
Okay, this is nesting gentoo penguin.
6, I don't know what else was there to make it better, other than maybe just wait and see what he's going to do or she's going to do. I can't tell what the penguin's going to do. If it started pecking, it might have been more interesting. If it kind of flapped its, do you call them wings, arms? What do you call those? If it started flapping its wings, or it might have been a little more interesting. And more cropping. The focus is the penguin. That's the focus. So 2/3 of the image is irrelevant. Does not contribute to what you're trying to capture.
Okay, this is rumble in the jungle.
I'm going to go with I'm bouncing off back and forth between a 7 and an 8. I'm going to go with a 7. Great subject, no doubt about it. Great subject. This is where continuous shooting comes in. Man, if you have 8 or 10 frames per second, this is the time to do it. Just keep shooting over and over and over again. Because I'm sure there was something else happening here. I'm sure something else happened after this moment. It's obvious that something else happened after this moment. So don't just go click. I always have my camera set on continuous shooting, always. Because if I don't need it, I just click and release my finger. But if I need it, it's there, it's already there. I don't have to go hunting for that feature. So leave your camera always on continuous shooting.
Okay, this is rustic moon.
I'm gonna go with an 8, very cleverly done, with the moon behind the windmill. I think what might have made it stronger is maybe crop from the top about, I'm gonna say right above that nice violet colored cloud. I can see right now, just by doing this, it becomes much stronger. If you crop it from the top, it's much stronger. Interesting thinking behind this one.
So Seeking Sunrise.
I like this one. I like it a lot. I'm going to go with a 9 instead of a 10. The only reason I'm not giving it a 10, it's very interesting. I like the color, the sunset color, the yellows, the clouds on the left, interesting formations on the back. But for me, my eye, again, tends to go to the foreground. And I think the real subject is out there. So if I could have, if it was legally doable, if people were allowed to walk on these, I would have walked a little farther forward to the edge and taken a picture of those in the background. And I think that would have been a really strong image. So what I'm saying is perhaps it's a little too much foreground in this one.
It's a Snow Walk.
6, interesting picture, interesting subject, but I'm looking for more. What that more is, I'm not sure. Maybe more of the animal, less of the tree. Maybe waiting patiently to see what else it was going to do and keep on clicking. Who knows, the clicking or my motion might draw its attention and he might look at me real quick, and that's the time to go click. With continuous shooting, just do that. 6, 7, 8 frames per second.
Spring Grove.
I'm going to give this a 10. Exceptionally done. Again, best photography is found where technical know-how and creative aesthetics meet. And again, this qualifies. Technically, very nicely done. The colors, not too vibrant, not too exaggerated, just right. Leave that whiteness there. It works. It's okay. You don't have to tone that down. Nice whiteness to the bark of the aspens. Very well done. And it has mood. It draws me in. Technically, it draws me in. Aesthetically, it has mood. It makes me want to go, ooh, where is this place? I want to be there. Nice job.
This is Starry Night.
Another 10. Again, good composition, extremely interesting, done lighting inside the building. Great exposure on the buildings and the foreground. And you got all that stuff going on in the sky. Now, unlike the other ones, I would not crop this one, unlike the other ones. And the reason for that is because it is starry night. So you want to emphasize the fact that the starry night goes on forever. So no, I would not have cropped this one. Good job on this one, great job.
Storm Pass.
7. Great subject. You can't miss with Hallett Peak. I photographed it many times. What would have made this a little more powerful is through a little bit of photo editing, maybe a little more vibrance and a little more exposure on Hallett Peak to bring it out just a little bit. And as also a little more vibrance, a little more lighter exposure and more contrast on the creek itself, so that the two can match each other. The creek and Hallett Peak kind of bounce off of each other, but not too much because you want to keep the attention on Hallett Peak.
Does it take time to smell the flowers?
8. Nice color, very well done. The reason I didn't go any higher is I see a flower. I think what might have really caught my interest is if you had a macro lens or a close-up lens and getting close to the flower, lots of yellow, some pink or purple, and the bee. The bee would have been over to the lower right-hand corner of my viewfinder. And I think that would have been a little stronger image, more creative and more interesting, and better composition.
Tip of the morning?
6. It is a great subject, interesting subject. However, to me, it looks like a snapshot. So what would have made it better? Again, don't hesitate to wait. And if you can, go back to it again. I know that's not possible every time, but given this image right here, I would have added a little more contrast to the mountain here, the mesa, more contrast, a little more vibrance, and see if I can adjust the color on the sky to get away from that light turquoise color.
Mm-hmm. And last one, Tower of Doom.
Interesting. 7. It doesn't do much for me. It is interesting, but I just see two people talking. What would have made it more interesting? I know this is one of those, what if kind of shots, but again, just like my comment regarding animals, be patient. If somebody walks by, that officer or security guard that's totally loaded for something, if somebody had walked by and he would have turned to look at him or her, that might have made it more interesting. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So you have 4 10s. So I will put them up for you here.
And I'll just pick one, right?
Yeah, and you'll just pick one, but this way you can get a second look. And
how are we doing on time, by the way? Are we okay?
yeah, we're good because the next 2 are much shorter. And oops, there we go. So these are the 4. Dreams in Ice on the far left, Gemini Dreams in the second to left, Spring Grove, second to right, and far right, Starry, Starry Night.
Could you show me the first one and the third one together? Just those 2? Is
Just
it
those
possible?
2. Yep, absolutely.
Just those 2. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
The photographers should be proud of themselves because they see me struggling with which one do I pick. So kudos to the photographers. I'm going to go with, man, these are both exceptional. I'm going to go with the Aspens.
Spring Grove. That is this one here.
Right.
Okay. Chuck, did you need a tie break?
Nope, I'm good.
Good. Okay. All right. So this one is only like 6, I think. So we can go.
6 at least?
Yeah, I think this is monochrome beginner intermediate. And this first one is barely there.
Barely there. I'm going to give this one a 9. Interesting subject. I like the way you treated the subject and the title. They go together, but not just the bear, but the tree that you added, that you incorporated into your composition, and what you did with that tree in terms of your editing, your fine tuning, I call it, adding some nice bright colors, bright whites, light grays in the tree, and made it stand out, which makes you look for the bear. So my eye goes to the tree first because it's so bright, and then I'm searching for the title, the bear. Where's the bear? And so it's very well done. What might have made it a little stronger is if you crop from the left. It's okay not to include the whole tree. Just about where it begins to bend, there's a branch that's almost horizontal, and then it begins to bend toward the bottom. I think just to the left of that would have made it a little more powerful.
Okay. Next one is Elk at Rocky.
6, a picture of an elk. So what could have made it better? Again, I'm going to repeat myself. Be patient. See what else it's going to do. Something else is get this shot, and if he's still looking at you, take a quick vertical shot. Boom, a vertical shot. Just those antlers and that looking at me. That would have been much stronger.
This is Father Stare.
Can I give it 5? No, just kidding. No. I'm going to give this a 6. It's a, I'm not sure I'd want him as my father. He looks pretty, he looks pretty rugged. It's just telling me, Eli, he's staring at me going, Eli, you better give me a 10. So I'm going to give it a 6, yeah. Now, what would have made it more powerful? Portraits are interesting, of course. Portraits are interesting. What was the title again?
Father's Stare.
Father's Stare, okay, Father's Stare. It's about the father's stare. So I think I would have liked to have seen a vertical, and for him to take the piece out of his ear, because that's distracting. It's drawing away from father's stare. Okay, that equipment in his ear is not helping toward the title of Father's Stare. And then just a little fine tuning, a little photo editing, lighten up the eyes just a little bit to really see the stare.
Okay. This is Knobs.
A 7. Interesting subject. I like the fact that you saw the usefulness of nothing but knobs as a potential subject. I have one similar to this. The knobs look different, but yeah, 7. Now, what would have made me go with an 8 or a 9? Maybe when it comes to black and white, I like to see contrasts. Very lights and darks and grays in between. And this one's a little muted for me. It's most of it's gray, light gray, dark grays, or medium grays. So go home and add more contrast to this and see what happens.
Okay, this is Nighttime Union.
I'm gonna go with a 7. Technically, very well done. If I was judging it just on its technical part, it would be a 9 or 10. Exceptionally done technically, but with a station of a title that has Union Station, I think I would have backed away a little farther so I could see Union Station and maybe zoom into it rather than looking up at it at close range.
And the last one, One Bad Hombre.
Boy, there's a father's stare there too. This guy is dangerous.
Yeah, and he's got a gun.
Was he at the Capitol today? I'll give it a 7. I like the subject. You know, this guy is like, don't you dare. I think the emphasis for this guy, again, I would have given it more points if, you know, the emphasis is on this guy, bad hombre. So his legs, his feet have nothing to do with bad hombre, but the gun does, his hand does, his expression and the hat, all that says bad hombre. So I think what would have made me score it higher would have been cropped from the bottom and just focus on his torso, the hand, the gun, and that look, and maybe fade the background just a little more, not totally, just a little more, and make him really jump out.
Chuck, did you need any tiebreak?
Nope, we're set.
All right, last category here. This is monochrome advanced photographers, and this is above the giants.
Okay. Now, as you probably have noticed already, I go with the title as part of the reason for my scoring. And I do that because I have titles on my images too. And what was the Tower of the Giants? Is that what it was?
Above the giants.
Above the Giants. Above the Giants. And I want to see what's above the Giants. And for me, when I look at this image, did I give it a score, right?
No, you didn't get
a 7.
Okay.
Okay, so what would have made me go higher than a 7? And what jumps out at me is my eye goes to this big piece of mountains to the right. If you cut it in half and go to the right of it, my eye goes to that section of the image because it's such a big section and it's closer to me. I think it would have been more powerful if I had focused on the mountains to the left of that, because those are the most powerful looking mountains and more interesting mountains than the ones on the right. So maybe either zooming in or combination of zooming in and moving to the left, if that would have been possible. I don't know what was to the left, but might have been the lake. But if I could have moved to the left, I would have moved to the left and then zoomed in on the mountains on the left, those 3 toward the left. And I still would have gotten the mountains and all that sky and the clouds. If you look at it, if you close your right eye and do this, that's a pretty dramatic piece of that image right there.
This is camouflage.
I had a note on camouflage. Yeah, I'm going to go with an 8 on this one because it's very interesting. I like how the photographer thought it through of using the shadows on the body. Very nicely done. All those shadows, they don't bother me. They just add interest to the image. I even see the shadows on his shoulder and his neck. That's very interesting. Now, what would have made it go a little higher, like a 9 or a 10? I'm thinking a little more contrast. The left eye maybe a little lighter in the eyeball, and remove one of the shadows from his lip, the little piece down there. I think would have given it like a 9 or a 10, but it was very close. Very good job on this one. I like it.
This is clouds over the mountains.
7. I see a picture of a landscape. I go back to what I said earlier. When it comes to photography, the eyes see too much. Give me the title of this again, Paul.
Clouds over the mountains.
Clouds over the mountains. So again, the title, it's about the clouds over the mountains. So what's all this other stuff doing? If I feel that what I'm photographing is the clouds over the mountains. And I really don't think this image is about the clouds over the mountains. I think it's about this foreground and the middle ground that's going on. If you crop it from the top and include only the whiteness and gray of the clouds, it's going to be like a panoramic shot. I think that's going to be more powerful. But you got a lot going here. It's very interesting what you have going here. Another shot I see is a vertical shot over to the right. And in Zoom, I can't point to it like I can in real life. But you see those two trees. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Paul. Those two trees right there are doing something. Maybe a vertical that would incorporate this dark area below the trees and the trees and all those trees in the background, all the way up to the mountains and the clouds. There's one picture going on there. I always say that there's a picture within a picture. So sometimes I'll get the panoramic shot and then get 2 or 3 others. Because there's always a picture within a picture. I see that picture, and also over here to the left. The willows on the left are interesting. And the pine tree to the left is interesting. So from that angle, looking back at the mountains, maybe perhaps vertically, that could be another shot that might have been a good shot as well.
This is, come on guys, make some room.
Interesting theme, interesting title. The title fits. I'm going to go with an 8. A 9, to get a 9 or a 10, for me, I think there's so much going on here that all I need to make this image really, really pop is the water. And see those 4 zebras right there? That's all I need for my title. It's the water and those 4 zebras, and then go above that until you see nothing but black and white. If you can imagine that shot, man, that's a pretty powerful shot.
Okay. This is ICU.
This is interesting. I like the eagle. No, it's not an eagle, a hawk. Again, whatever that is. Technically very well done. And the fact that the bird is looking back at the photographer, that's what I'm talking about. It's not just a snapshot of a bird. It's like, yes, that's the moment. Go for it. Click. That's what I want to see when it comes to animals and birds and so on. I was photographing elk one day in Rocky Mountain, and I just snapped my fingers, and that's all it took to get the attention of the elk to see what's going on, and they all looked at me. And I went click. Like, yeah, thank you very much. That's all it took. So whatever it takes to get the bird to do something interesting other than just a bird sitting there. I'm going to go with an 8 on this one.
This is, facade.
I like the subject. I like the lines. I like the composition. A strong 8 on this one. I like the fact that you incorporated the shadows, and then the 2 windows, and the shadow to the left. We can crop a photograph diagonally. If we could, I would crop the lower left a little bit, but we can't crop diagonally. I suppose we could, technically, but very, very nicely done. I like this, the look of the adobe and the antiquity of it, and the shadows. It's not just a snapshot.
Okay, this is Forgotten Wheels.
6. Interesting subject. And I think it might go back to what I said earlier about the 2 factors that go into play with photography: emotion and sight. And the emotion, if I had been there, I probably would have gone, wow, look at that, that's pretty cool, and gone click. But the emotion is gone when you see the photograph. A photograph, either digitally like today or in print, no longer has that emotional factor. So we have to find a way of retaining that emotional factor in a photograph. So one way of doing that for this image is maybe to close in a little bit. Give me the title again, Paul.
It's Forgotten Wheels.
Forgotten Wheels. Yeah, the Forgotten Wheels could be accomplished with less of the grasses. A little tighter shot, crop from the bottom about maybe 1/4, just a little bit, and then crop from the right just a little bit. It might end up being a square image, but that would have still had a lot of grasses and the wheels and the message.
Okay. This is in a different light.
I'm going to give this a 10. It's not my style of photography, infrared, but I like to be objective with my judging. Just because I wouldn't do this, just because I don't like doing this, it's not my thing. It doesn't mean it's not a great image. It is composition-wise, it's there. Where you placed the cabin, that's composition. The amount of water you included, that's part of composition. And once your eye goes to the cabin, then it goes other places as well. That's part of composition. Very well done. Technically, very well done. Exposure-wise, very well done. You know, he has some highlights, some darks, and some grays. And at least on my screen, it's not a black and white. It's more like has bluish tones. At least on my screen, has
Yes.
bluish
Yeah.
tones. That's nice.
This is My Secret Place.
6. Again, you can't control what the deer is going to do, what the animals are going to do. We can't control that. But all we can do is hope, cross our fingers, plan, and be patient. Be patient, be patient. See what else this animal is going to do. If the head had been turned the opposite direction, it would have been a little more interesting.
This is My Wish.
I'm going to give this one a 9 because of the technical piece of this, the creativeness of this. It's one of those images that you just don't see often. You just don't. You see this plant. I've seen pictures of these plants, but not done like this. It looks very like a painting in black and white. You've got some lights, you've got some grays, you've got some darks. And the light part of the image is in the foreground, which gives you a three-dimensional look to this image. It's like that piece toward the lower left-hand corner is way back there. It's got good depth. I like this one.
This is On High Alert.
Very well done. I'm gonna give it an 8. Very, very good image. What would have made it a little more powerful? It already is a very, very good. Let me emphasize that it's very good, very well done. Maybe through some fine tuning, maybe lighten the eyes to make them really pop. Like when we think of an owl staring at you, I want those eyes to pop and stare at me. Is this also?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is this related to Father's Stare? Is that what?
It's a companion piece. Yeah. Okay, next one. This is Power of Flight.
This is a 9. Very well done. Great composition. And if you want to know why I keep saying good composition, yeah, either Zoom with me. Let me talk to you about composition, or go to Amazon or Books A Million or Barnes & Noble online and purchase it, because you'll understand when I say this is a strong image, very good composition. You got a combination of diagonals and curves and form and texture and shapes and darks and lights and grays. You have all that going on. It's an art. It's a piece of art. I see it as a piece of art, not a photograph, but it's a piece of art. That if I had painted that, it would have taken me weeks to get this result. Very nicely done.
Rocky Mountain Peaks.
7. I think I photographed these myself. I think these are around Dream Lake in Rocky Mountain, I think. Anyway, subject very interesting. I think it's a little washed out, a little too subdued. I wouldn't expect this to be vibrant because it's foggy, it's snowing, so you want to keep that. But in the rock structure itself, maybe not everything, but just parts of it, a little more contrast to give me a little more depth, a feel of depth.
And this is the mall at Christmas.
6, again, to me, it's just a snapshot, a picture of downtown Denver. I think I see a great photograph, though, right in the middle of all this. Can you see that? I see a great photograph right in the middle of all this, right there. Trees and all. Vertical shot, got all those lights and that stand in the middle. And then you have the dark trees up above. That's very interesting. So go home and crop that, see what that looks like.
This is the Sentinel.
6, the eyes see too much. What am I going for? Why did I give it this title? I'm thinking maybe that tree on the left, I'm not sure. I do see an image over there, the tree on the left. So 2 things that I see. I see 2 other photographs in this image. One is the vertical shot right down the middle, right here. Vertical shot, boom, it's right there. Very interesting. Give me a little more contrast on that. That's pretty cool. Walk to the left and include that bright white tree in the image and those trees in the background. And I think that also could have been a really nice shot.
This is They Call Me Mr. Blue.
This is a 9. Interesting subject and interesting way in which you photographed the subject or captured the subject. It's not just a frog, a toad. It's a toad sitting on this, whatever this is that it's on. It almost looked like it's a ceramic piece of art. And the way the toad is facing, nice, not away from me, and not directly at me, but looking over here, 45-degree angle. And that eye is just staring at me. You're very nicely done.
This is Through the Mist of Time.
A 10. Let me tell you why. Gosh, this one, I go back to what I said earlier. The tendency in today's photography is to make everything super, super sharp. And this photographer did not do that. And he or she, I'm gonna say they. So they didn't, because it didn't need to do that, because that's not the point of this story. Is how sharp I can make this structure look. It's about the feeling. It's about I can see myself there. It has a story, it has meaning, it has feeling. It's one of those images that begs questions. Where is this? And to me, it's like, it's making me feel like, wow, this is so peaceful, so relaxing. It's foggy. Let it be a foggy picture. I think the tendency is to forget that it's a foggy scene and try to make everything super, super sharp. If you do that, it loses the feeling. Very well done. Kudos.
This is travel by train.
I'm going to go with an 8 on this one. Technically, extremely well done. And the photographer knows that. Extremely well done, technically. The title is Travel by Train. Now, good or bad, Denver has really grown in the last 5 to 7 years, right? Has really grown. Structures coming up out of nowhere. But this is a beautiful, old, classic, iconic building in Denver. But something is competing for attention. It's those buildings in the background. And I don't know if this would have been possible. I don't know if you were on top of a building or if this was a drone photograph. But in either case, maybe by moving to the left and try to minimize those skyscrapers, those condominiums or whatever they are in the background, and let Union Station really stand out by itself. It doesn't need any help. It stands alone. So that would have made me go with a 9 or a 10. And I hope this is helping by me saying what would have helped.
Yeah, that does. Trees and clouds.
A 7. To me, this is just that, trees and clouds. The tree on the left is intriguing compared to the other two. You see that? The shape of it, the branches, the gaps between the branches. It's extremely interesting. And I think I would have wanted to go to my right and try to isolate that tree from the others, maybe a vertical shot, and let those branches be the interest of the composition.
This is urban perspective.
7, good abstract, good eye in terms of trying to incorporate all these different angles, diagonals and horizontals and verticals and so on. So I would have given it more points. I think this left part competes with the rest of the image. It's almost like 2 images. My eye wants to go to the left in this image. It draws me to the left. But if you look at it, I'm just going to do this. If you eliminate that black part on the left, all of a sudden your attention goes into this interesting combination of angles and perspectives and diagonals and horizontals. So I would have cropped it from the left and add more contrast.
Okay, this is whitewash.
Very interesting. Give this one an 8. I know it's just a tree, but it's more than just a tree. It's the branches, the shapes of the branches that really make you go, what am I looking at? It's not just a tree. Those branches is what makes this image. Maybe a little more contrast, not on the background or the ground, but a little more contrast on some of those branches. Might have looked a little more, a little stronger.
Last image of the night is Zodiac trip in South Georgia Island.
7, great subject. You know, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's what ships run into sometimes, right? Okay, so nice subjects. But I think when you look at the subject, I would have cropped it from the left. See where that highlight of the water creates a sort of a V in the water. The highlights create that V shape. And right to the left of your cursor, where you had it a while ago. Yeah, just to the
Oh,
left.
yeah, right there.
Right about there.
Mhm.
You can crop it right there. You don't lose anything. The image is not any less powerful if you lose that part. In fact, it becomes more powerful because it draws your eye more to this ice coming out of the water, the glaciers.
Okay, so you did 2 10s. So I'm going to put those up. Let's see, it was this one and this one, I believe. Yeah, and then let me get rid of these. There you go.
They're both exceptional. Kudos to the photographers. You guys did a great job. I'm going to go with the one on the right.
So through the mist of time. Yeah, black and white there. Okay.
It's a kind of shot where I wish I knew where that building was. I'd like to go right behind this photographer. That's a great subject. But, you know, fog is fog. You don't always get fog. Take advantage of it.
Yeah. And Chuck, did you need a tie break?
Nope, we're set.
Wow,
Oh, wow, no tiebreakers?
that's highly,
Along their lines.
highly unusual. But
Yeah.
Eli, I thank you so much. Boy, I learned so much from you tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we can, Michael will close the meeting, but at this point, I want to make sure we get Chuck in because it's 9 o'clock to give us the results for tonight.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to beginner intermediate digital color. Starting off with first place is, I lost the title. Let me get the whole title in here. Rippled Reflections of Heaven by John Baumgartner. Second place, Hiding in Horsetails, also by John Baumgartner. Third place and Judge's Award goes to Ghosts of the Past by Bruce Ryman. And honorable mention is O Tannenbaum by Gary Hubel. Moving to advanced digital color. Let me slide back around here. And first place, Geminid Dreams, is me. Second place, Grizzly on the Shore, Paige Fulton. Third place, and Judge's Award, Spring Grove by Larry Johnson. And honorable mention is Hey There by Candy Herman. Moving on to beginner intermediate digital mono. First place, Nighttime Union by Josh Rodriguez. Second place, One Bad Hombre by Bruce Ryman. Third place and Judge's Award, Barely There by John Baumgartner. And honorable mention, Elk It Rocky by Matt Gates. And then moving into advanced digital mono. Let's see. First place, Power of Flight by Paige Fulton. Second place and Judge's Award, Through the Mist of Time by Elaine Graves. Third place, My Wish by Corey Baumgartner. And honorable mention, Come On Guys, Make Some Room by Ken Imler. And there you have it.
And Michael?
Yeah. Do we, I know we're running a little bit tight on time. In the past, we've kind of rolled through all, we can do that after I just kind of make the comments, or usually we've kind of gone through each image and just kind of real quickly given the image and the name. But we can do that. I'll go ahead and close out first on that. First of all, I want to thank, tonight I saw so many great images in that. Once again, great to start the year off with everything. Congratulations to those that came in, that placed tonight. And yeah, Eli, I really want to thank you. a couple things that I kind of jotted down here, just some of your comments and so forth and that. Really appreciate your the focus on the composition. To me, I learned a lot, just not only on my images, but on some of the other ones too, and that just how you would like point out, you know, from a composition standpoint, if you were there, move a few feet to the right, focus on this, and then in the processing, crop it here, crop it there, and so forth. Yeah, a lot of those things really resonated, and I think it's comments like those that make us all better photographers going forward as far as applying some of those things and that. So really appreciate the detail and the time you spent on each of the images tonight. And so with that, I didn't have anything else. Like I say, just the next meeting is 2 weeks away, and that is on, like you said, inauguration night. So there may be some other things going on that day, but let's look forward to a good evening with the Kevin Holliday's presentation that night. Again, he does a lot of good black and white photography, long exposures, and that. So look forward to, hopefully we'll see everybody here and maybe a few others in that. But we did have a great turnout tonight too. I appreciate everybody coming out and joining us tonight and for submitting some great images.
Michael, I just want to say, I saw some great photography today. You guys are doing a great job. Keep at it. Regardless whatever level you're at, it's all about pushing the envelope. Do it, do it, do it. Even after all these years, I keep asking myself, what have I not done? What have I not done? I'm working on a major project right now that I hope to finish by the end of this year. I'm keeping it a little secret for now, but with the right timing, I will announce this project that I'm working on. That's something I have never worked on before, but it's becoming a very super interesting project. I'm getting a lot of attention on it.
Okay.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah. Look forward to the surprise when that comes out. And also, like I mentioned earlier, and that we do, to the book that you do have out there, The Right Brain Photography, we've got the link out there on the chat. So for if those, again, a lot of the things that you were bringing up tonight are the things that are discussed there. And then also, we mentioned earlier in that you have, you put on there earlier, I think, your email address, that for those that want to follow you on the on your newsletter, the monthly newsletter. And I'm sure that will give us an announcement also on that when your this big project comes out.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Great.
And I highly recommend that newsletter. I've been following since I first touched base with Eli, and it's really great. It's really informative. So go to elivega.net, I think it is, and sign up on the website. It's really well worth it.
Great. And with that, unless anybody else has anything, do we want to run through? I mean, I know it's a lot of images. We're already a few minutes past 9, but in the past, you've kind of gone through and real quickly, usually it takes like 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes.
Oh, I'll do it in 2 minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes.
So we'll go through each image and just give a name to the image, and it'll be really quick, no discussion. And we'll just, that way everybody kind of what everybody submitted. Thank you.
Exactly. Okay. Death Valley's Grand Exit was Josh Rodriguez. Ghosts of the Past was Bruce Ryman. Gore Range Cabin was Jeffrey Scott. Hiding in Horsetails was John Baumgartner. I Think It's Broken was Gary Hubble. O Tannenbaum was also Gary Hubble. Rain Almost was Bruce Ryman. Rippled Reflections of Heaven was John Baumgartner. Smoldering Wildfire in Granby was Matt Gates. Shouldn't have had that second glass of wine. Sunset in the Park was Matt Gates. And Woodlands was Jeffrey Scott, sorry. And then the color, 50 Shades of Turkey was Carino Zaragoza. As One Light Fades, Other Shine, Ken Imler. Changing, Larry Johnson. Coming or Going, Ray Kalo. Cuban Sunrise, Dave Purcell. Dreams in Ice, Ashley Sertich. Early Morning on Broadway, Ray Kalo. Empire State, Rand Ngale. Excited, Stephen Holst. Family Reunion, me. Fire Within, Peter Rondinone. Garden with Snow, Michael Rhino. Gemini Dreams, Chuck Rasco. Grizzly on the Shore, Paige Fulton. Hey There, Candy Herman. Just Beyond the Cornfields, Elaine Graves. King Penguins and also just South Georgia Island, Debbie McCullough, or I'm sorry, this is Just Hanging Around. This is Ken Imler, sorry. Here's King Penguins and also South Georgia Island, Debbie McCullough. Nesting Gen 2 Penguin was also Debbie McCullough. Rumble in the Jungle, Peter Rondinone. Rustic Moon, Chuck Rasco. Snowwalk, or Seeking Sunrise, Elaine Graves. Snowwalk, Corey Baumgartner. Spring Grove, Larry Johnson. Starry Starry Night, Dave Purcell. Storm Pass, Paige Fulton. Take Time to Smell the Flowers, Corey Baumgartner. Tip of the Morning, Candy Herman. And Tower of Doom, Rand Ningali, aka Rand Smith. And monochrome here. Barely There, John Baumgartner. Elk at Rocky, Matt Gates. Father Stare, Josh Rodriguez. Knobs, Jeffrey Scott. Nighttime Union, Josh Rodriguez. One Bad Hombre, Bruce Ryman. And the last group, we have Above the Giants, that was Dave Purcell. Camouflage was Ashley Sertich. Clouds Over the Mountains was Michael Rhino. Come On Guys, Make Some Room by Ken Imler. ICU, Carino Zaragoza. Facade was me. Forgotten Wheels was Larry Johnson. In a Different Light was Ray Halo. My Secret Place was Carino Zaragoza. My Wish, Corey Baumgartner. On High Alert, Ashley Sertich. Power of Flight, Paige Fulton. Rocky Mountain Peaks, Stephen Holst. The Mall at Christmas, Stephen Holst. They Call Me Mr. Blue, The Sentinel, Peter Rondinone. They Call Me Mr. Blue, Candy Herman. Through the Mist of Time, Elaine Graves. Travel by Train, Rand Ningali. Trees and Clouds, Michael Rhino. Urban Perspective, me. Whitewash, Chuck Carrasco. And Zodiac Trip in South Georgia Island was Debbie McCullough. That is it.
Okay, great. And thanks again, Paul, for doing all that. That's a lot of work. And
Sure.
for Chuck for keeping score. I know that's quite a task over there that he does too. So again, thanks everybody tonight for joining. Great images, and look forward to seeing what we turn out for the rest of the year.
Everybody have a
Nice,
good night.
nice having new folks.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Good night.
Right.
Thank you, Eli.
Thanks,
Sure.
Eli. Great job.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Ah,